Remember, you have to do the comments.
On my Facebook?
On live. Wait till you're already live. So. Woo! Really?
Ah, yes. Ah, yes.
Hello, hello, everyone.
Welcome, welcome, family. Once again, 7 p.m. live prime time, another Thursday night.
Welcome to the Q&A. We're in the house.
Yes, we are. Always. Wouldn't be a house without the Q&A.
We're doing stuff just a little bit different on tonight because we don't have our moderator on hand, but we're going to go ahead anyway. So we welcome you into the Q&A. We thank y'all guys for tuning in with us. And so just come on in and take a seat, okay, you guys? Let's see here. Tonight we're going to be talking about communication, okay, guys? We're going to be talking about how important it is to communicate in your relationship, and not just communicate, but have effective communication, okay? Very effective. So I'm going to go a little elementary, okay? So let's see here. Hold on real quick. I don't know what's going on with the live going on over here. I'm not sure what is happening, but we're going to go with it, okay? Let's see here. Okay, so okay, anyway, guys, sorry.
A little bit of technical difficulty. I know how it is with technology.
Okay, we are going to go elementary for a little bit and talk about the definition of listening and hearing, guys, okay? So just going to give the brief definition of listening, which is the ability to accurately receive and interpret messages in the communication process. Now, this is key to all effective communication because without it, messages can easily be misunderstood. Okay, that is the definition of listening. Now I want to give you the definition of hearing. Hearing is the faculty of perceiving sounds. So you can hear something. It is the vibrations that you hear in your ears, and that is what hearing is. So hearing and listening is two totally different things, okay? You can hear somebody because you just hear the sound, but are you really listening? Okay, that is key, and that is two totally different things. Okay, so we're going to be talking about communication and how effective it is in any relationship. So it's not just man and woman, boyfriend, girlfriend, marriages. It's in work relationships. It's in relationships you have with your friends. It's relationships you have in your family. It's all those different type of relationships, and communication is very, very important. Okay, wouldn't you say? Hey,
Yeah, very much so. But with me being a talker, I'm really in touch with the effective communication concept and ideology. You can communicate, but you could be communicating. It could be empty words. You could be communicating, and you can not have a certain type of understanding. As y'all heard the song by Escape. What I need is a little understanding. That's pretty much what everybody's looking for. As Q already said, it's not just relegated to a man, woman, a romantic relationship or, a marriage or what have you, even though that's very vital. That's definitely key. But it involves every aspect of your life. To be with your parents, be with your siblings, as she said, friends, on your job. So you have to effectively communicate.
Yes.
Key operative word, as she would say, key operative word, effective. So yeah, and myself included, we all, are learning on a daily basis. Some things, we're just coming into the realization of, or some things, we're just being enlightened further on this, communication journey. So yes, effective communication, I'm sorry, is very, very important.
okay. We are definitely having technical difficulty. Apologize on what is going on right now.
We are so sorry, folks. We know y'all used to have a certain quality. We usually have our moderator. She kind of, leads, and guides us into, what I'm saying, what's to be talked about or what's going to be said. She fields the questions, and y'all know how it is when you have a team, things run a whole lot smoother. But when you're trying to juggle a couple of different things and you don't have your usual, help, and our reinforcement there, it can be a bit challenging. Not unworkable, it's doable, but it's just a little bit more challenging. So we appreciate you guys bearing with us. Thank y'all, family. We getting it together. Just bear with the Q and the A. I know this is not what you're accustomed to, but we're gonna get it together, and next week will be even better. So we appreciate you guys. If y'all have questions, y'all have comments, please, as you always do, type them in, ask what you feel impressed to ask, and we'll do our best to effectively communicate with you and answer. So we thank you guys.
Hey, Devon, what's going on?
Hey, Lady D. Glad that you joined us. We miss you being here, but we understand, you handling other business. But we appreciate you joining in.
All righty. I think we are adding Lady Devon right here. We also are on YouTube right now, simultaneously coming on. And we want to talk about communication. Communication. So everybody just come on in and let's talk. Let's see what everybody is doing. What's going on with you guys? And babe, talk about communication and not just how important it is, but also it can make or break a conversation.
Oh, yes, it can. It can go either way. It could be the meteoric rise, or it could be the utter downfall. So, that is so important. That is so important in a conversation. So, and what you don't want to do you know, and it goes without saying, but what you don't want to do is be closed-minded, you know, be so stuck on your way, your view, your perspective, and yours alone, that you don't listen to and hear and try to absorb, you know, and understand where someone else is coming from. Because, you know, let's face it, you know, you know, I'm stating the obvious here. We don't live in this world alone. We're not an island. As much as some people may like to be, as much as some people may, even as much as they can, they make a concerted effort to isolate themselves and to, so to speak, stand alone and to have a guard up or to shut down during the communication process with whoever. So, hey, Lady D, I see you. I see you. We see you.
Oh, you're looking so pretty.
Well, thank you.
Okay, you just went upside down. There you go. Yes.
There we are.
Too cute.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't see you.
I know. I'm coming. I'm behind the phone right now. That's how I can see you. And we were trying to use his phone to try to tackle questions and stuff. So I don't know what's going on.
All right. So we're talking about communication tonight. So who's the better communicator, Laquita or A?
Wow.
Real family.
Wow.
Yes, I would have to say A. He's better.
I would have said Q is better. I mean, she seems like she has.
Bring your volume up just a little bit if you can. Bring your volume up just a little bit.
Is it up? Okay, let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Can you still hear?
Yes.
Good. That's better.
All right.
All right. Thank y'all for being with us, family. With us, having to troubleshoot, having to be the IT department while the podcast is going on.
Yes. So, effective communication. Yes, I would definitely say he is the better communicator. Very attentive. Eye contact. He will stop everything. He won't answer phones. He won't answer the door. He won't talk to nobody else because he has your undivided attention. Okay, and you need to have your undivided attention with him. Okay, very important. You don't play about that.
Wow. Well, thanks, sweetheart, so much for the uplifting. But A would have said
So
that.
can anyone?
Go ahead, Lady D. Go ahead.
Okay. So as far as starting the conversation, is it something that one of the others says, "Hey, we need to have this conversation," or is it an afterthought as far as something comes up and then you bring it up later? How do you go about that in the Q&A house?
Oh, I definitely say when something comes up, negative or positive, we go at it right then.
Yeah.
I mean, we really don't wait, for real. And I believe that honestly came from having counseling and tackling and discussing those issues early on, because we didn't want to leave anything on the table. So it was very important to us to, if something comes up, and believe you me, things have, either myself or him would be like, hey, I felt this way or whatever, and, we need to talk about it, because we have a rule in this house that we don't go to bed mad, angry, upset, anything like that. We don't play that game at all.
Q enforces the rules, yo. She's the enforcer. She's the strong one. But all jokes aside, we choose to, how to say, hit it head on deal with it so that things won't fester. Because when you leave things untreated, you know what I'm saying, the infection or the ailment, the disease gets out of control. So you really want to communicate so that there won't be any infections or diseases. But if you leave things unchecked, leave things unsaid, you're gonna be angry and you got things bottled up and you hostile. Trust me, you have something growing. Full on, as my granny would say, full on, if not full in. So you don't want to do that.
Yeah. So. And also, I wanted to say, I was researching about communication and I discovered that I'm sure there's more, but I discovered like 30 Bible verses that God deals with us and talks to us about communication. And so a lot of them are in Proverbs. So that was very key to me, and I found that very enlightening because Proverbs deals with the woman. And I discovered several verses in Proverbs. And one is Proverbs 15:1 that says, "A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." That's just one. There are several in Proverbs, and I would definitely encourage, each person, especially a woman, to go and dive into Proverbs and really study that thing. There are several verses again that deals with communication, and it's very key and important on how you talk to someone. So again, it's not just in your marriage or in your relationship, as far as a couple. It is also how you talk to someone in your job, how you interact and talk to somebody in your family, especially your children. So it's very key on you're only responsible for yourself. So you can't be so caught up on, well, he did this to me and he talked to me or she talked to me this way or whatever. You are responsible for yourself, because what I have found is that when you're having a dialogue or communication or a conversation, with someone, and you know that you're doing what you're supposed to do in the manner of how you speak, that I get, and the other person is not, I guarantee you that as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, they will come back and say, "I'm sorry." I promise you, I have had that happen so many times. If I stand, and when I'm talking and discussing, if I stand in that and I stay monotone and not raise my voice, and y'all know I'm loud anyway by nature. I just have a loud voice. But if I stay in the same monotone voice that I started with and not elevated, that the conversation, can stay where it needs to stay, because you're, as I say, staying in your blessed place. So that is very key. But again, we talked about, in the previous segments, about how important it is for expectations and communication and all of that when you're dealing with your significant other. This again is no different. You have to have effective, not just communicating, but effective communication. So that is a dialogue of not just talking, but also listening. And we already started at the beginning talking about the difference between listening and hearing. There are two totally different things, two totally different words. They are cousins. They may be in the same family, but they're still two totally different words. They mean two totally different things. You can hear a sound. I can hear my husband starting to say something, but I can check out and I'm not even listening to him. So again, that's two totally different things. And we have to get to the point.
Let me jump in, Quita.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me ask you guys, do you have a safe place for conversation?
Ooh.
For hard conversations? do you have a safe place, say the bedroom, or do you feel let's go out, go somewhere that, so that things maybe won't escalate if it's going to be a hard conversation? Do you have a safe place for that?
Hey,
Yes,
Yeah.
we do have a safe place, and in all actuality, it is our room, because that's
Yeah.
our safe haven, that's our refuge, our
Yeah.
sanctuary. You know what I'm saying? Is in for some reason it's just a lot of peace, a lot of comfort in that particular space, because that is our domain, and we shut the door to the outside world, and we deal with as you say, Lady D, the tough things. And it seems like it makes it easier, because when you go out, to me that's a little bit, a lot more public, a lot of eyes and ears. You don't want certain things to be exposed or to leak in front of strangers, and you know what I'm saying, and just the stares, the looks, or what I'm saying, the discomfort that others may feel if you're having those real deep, intense, conversations. So for us, I'm not saying that doesn't work. It may be perfect for someone else. Some people have to get out from familiar surroundings, to go into to air things out. But for Q&A, just like the podcast, the Q&A house, everything seems like is handled or settled or taken care of in the house. So that's our safe place.
That's good. That's good.
You good? Okay. Again, with the Bible verses, and just talking about how the Word of God just gives specific instructions on how we need to live our lives. I mean, everything that we deal with on a daily basis, you can find it in the Word of God. And so, even in my time, dealing with communication, and I haven't always got it right. I still deal sometimes, and sometimes I have to say, in my own self, Laquita, okay, 1, 2, 3. Sometimes you may have to count whatever works for you. But it is very important for you yourself to know how you can control your own self as it relates to communication. Because again, just like I asked my husband the question earlier, how you communicate, it could go either way. So you can stay monotone, or if you go and elevate, that could escalate the conversation and take it to a whole nother level. So somebody has to be, as I say, mature.
Yes, and even
Do you have conversations that are off? Do you have conversation topics that are off limit for whether you're with other married couples or with family? Is there certain topics that you guys have agreed that will not be discussed in front of other people, or even here on the Q&A house show?
not necessarily verbally discussed anything. I think it's one of those things, how they say, what do they call it? Unwritten, unspoken rules. It's something that's just understood. Certain things, of course, we just will not do. Certain details of certain things we just will not discuss.
Right.
In front of family, just out of respect and decency. With parents and kids and other family members, you don't just blurt out any and everything. I just think there's a certain line of demarcation, because it'll be inappropriate if you do. It's not that you're afraid. It's not just that you're hiding anything. Those are two totally different things. Evading and avoiding issues or whatever, or not wanting to say anything, but to consciously and deliberately share like personal, intimate stuff. That's off limits. If that answers the question, we will not do that. Certain things we won't talk about or say in front of our parents. You know what I'm saying? Something of that nature. So those would be off limits. But that's something I think most people like. Yeah, that makes sense. I wouldn't do that either. So that, I mean, something that deep and cross the line like that. No, that wouldn't be shared. But anything else, yeah. I mean, we as Q&A is as transparent as we as we know to be. And every day we're working on it. Don't get me wrong, guys. It doesn't mean we're perfect. We still don't get everything right. We still have, and I hope I can just be real with y'all. We still have disagreements. We still don't see things eye to eye. You know what I'm saying? You know, I just say women, what's one saying? Women are from Venus, men are from Mars, something like that.
Yeah.
Y'all know. Y'all get, I might be saying it backwards, but y'all get the point. You know, still there's two totally different beings. Female, male, not all the perspectives are going to be seen exactly the same. Not all the time do we handle everything the exact same way. The end result, the goal is the same, but our methodology is not always the same. But that's where, as Q said, that's where effective communication comes in. Because let's face it, guys, let's be honest. Communication in and of itself can be difficult, particularly if you're at odds or if there's already been tension and conflict. I'm telling you, it's like navigating a minefield. You know, one wrong move, you step on, boom. You know what I'm saying? But it can be managed. It's doable, it's workable, but it's very, very difficult. You really need guidance. And as my wife would agree with, you know, the guidance we're talking about is God's guidance. You know, you need his guidance, you need his direction, you need his wisdom. You know, and I guess I'll kind of elaborate a little bit more on that in a few moments, but that just kind of triggered certain things in my mind, you know, when that was said or that question was asked. So, yep.
And I would say what we've seen as it relates to different generations, it was so funny and ironic. We were in the post office yesterday, and we met a beautiful young lady that reminded us both of our oldest daughter, or our only daughter, who's 27. So beautiful young lady, and we just got to talking, and she was saying, shout out to Miss Winter. She was saying that she noticed us when we walked in, and she had watched our interaction the whole time we were in there. And so we just got to talking about different things, and my husband was just telling her about the podcast, and so we got to talking about communication, and she said something that is very profound as it relates to generations. Like, we're considered, is it Generation X?
Yeah, we're considered
Generation X. And so this young lady, I think maybe Generation Z. Millennial.
She's a millennial.
She's a millennial.
She's probably
millennial.
20,
and so
25
these young kids out here, they don't have a clue. They just talk whatever and however they want to talk. They feel like they ain't got to tell you nothing, say nothing, and how they talk. Your baby, yo, and be talking all, you know, crazy and doing all of that, and think that's gonna get a woman, and just the lack thereof, I feel, is guidance. I feel is proper training.
proper
I feel
etiquette.
yeah,
you know?
yeah, all of that that needs to be nurtured amongst our children. These 20-something-year-olds, as I would say, as late as even early 30s, mid 30s, are having these issues out here with man and woman, as it relates to having communication, having that dialogue, knowing how to strike up communication, knowing how to get information out of somebody that you're trying to date. From what I'm understanding, it is hard out here in the dating world for our age and younger. So, you know, I would say from the beginning, or from jump, if I had to do it all over again, you have to follow and do and be led by God first and foremost, because your own navigation, you doing it your way, and how you think you ought to go will mess you up every time. If you get what God has for you as far as being led by Him, He will not steer you wrong.
He will not. He will not. Let me say this, like, as far as the kids, the 25 to 35-year-olds, I just group them in, you know, in increments of 10. 25 to 35, and that's basically the age range that my wife was just speaking of. They have, I'm not saying none of the young people can communicate effectively. Some of them do, they communicate well, you know what I'm saying? They don't have that type of difficulty, but just overall, statistically speaking, they have a much more difficult time communicating than people our age, 40 and above, 50 and above. And it's not even all their own fault. I'm not making an excuse for them or giving them a crutch. However, at the same time, it's not all their fault, because think about it. Most of us are products of our parents. Would you say we're products of, with maybe a combination of mom and dad, maybe more mom in some instances, more dad, you know what I'm saying, or maybe equal parts both. But our generation is a lot different and is a lot older. So we had the training and we had the, the ideology, maybe handed down. We had some older person, older people talking to us, how they say, training us, actually schooling us on how to conduct ourselves, how to communicate. Like my wife said, not just in a relationship, but just in life, because the adults of the generation of previous, they did teach us certain life skills before we left the home. My parents and my wife's parents as well, we can vouch for them. They taught us certain things before we left. So we actually had an edge on. We didn't have it so hard, because 50% of the battle was won because our parents supplied the tools necessary to help us communicate. And that's the key ingredient that's missing with a lot of these babies. God bless them, bless their hearts, as I always say. But it's not all their own fault, because think about it. Whoever raised them, be it mom or dad, if their parents weren't around, one deceased, maybe one just out there, not around. They were raised by grandparents. They were raised by aunts or uncles. And this is no demeanor to anybody who raised them. They may have did an excellent job and did everything they could, everything they knew, and did the best they knew how with what they had. However, the kids may have not gotten the communication skills. They may have gotten the foundation. I don't doubt that. A lot of the older people, they really poured into these kids. God bless them. However, the kids didn't get the communication skills specifically that they needed. So by the time they got out here, in the dating world, particularly with young men, let me address the men for a second. The young men have an even harder time, even than the young ladies, because to a point, there's somebody that pulled a lot of young ladies to the side to help, the guide, and maybe this is how you do this, and this is how you conduct yourself. But a lot of men, unfortunately, particularly in our community, the Black community, they just didn't have it. They just weren't fortunate to have that. So they were pretty much winging. They were improvising, making it up as they go along. So by the time they got out here in the world, they were old enough and they, were interested in, the young ladies and dating and all of this kind of stuff. They had nothing in their arsenal. The arsenal just bone dry. No tools, no equipment, no ammo. They were just like, well, I'm gonna do whatever comes to mind. And that's how they, started their communication. Unfortunately, it was not much. It wasn't much, to help them secure, a good foundation in their relationship, or the relationship they're attempting to pursue, or what have you. And then in turn, not even knowing how to talk to a young lady or relate. So there you have it.
Very important. Very important. And your tone, your pitch, your voice,
Yes.
all of that
It matters. It does.
In communicating or talking to someone, and especially your significant other, your person who you say you love. It is very important, because you always want to be uplifting and not discouraging, not demeaning, not lowering that person or make them feel belittled. You always want to uplift and encourage and just, speak life. So again, I would even say, I would say for myself, I have to check myself every day, a lot, for real, because if you're not careful, and you don't even realize it sometimes, it can really mess you up. And so you really have to be conscious about that thing and be intentional about how you talk to someone. Because even the Bible talks about doing to others as you would have them do unto you. So if you know that you don't want to be talked to crazy, why you doing it?
Right.
If you want somebody to be honest with you and be real with you and communicate to you about the different affairs of what's going on in your household or on the job or wherever, you're trying to have that conversation, again, you have to be the person, or you have to be what you want to receive back. Very important.
And I'll add this. I know for me, this is coming, this from A. Q gave her, her perspective, and A is going to give his. I know for me personally, in all of my communication, no matter who it's with, parents, I have a couple of siblings, I have a daughter, I did aunts, uncles, cousins, like we all do. And, people on my job or what have you. With me personally, if I feel that I'm going to say the wrong thing, I'm going to go left, go off the deep end, as Q would say, I'll leave the reservation so far off, you never knew I was on it, then it's best for me not to say anything. That's just for me. With me, it has to, I'm an extremist. For some of y'all that don't know, I'm extreme either way. I'm all the way this way or all the way that way. Just overall, not in every single thing. I know how to balance. I know how to pull back. I know when to press in. But I'm saying, just statistically speaking, overall, for my personality, my concept, my ideology, for me, when I experienced, like some serious difficulty, I had a situation a little early. It had nothing to do with Q, but it was a way, it was job related, and it's like I really had to shut my mouth. I'm just going on and say it like that, so I know y'all get the point. I'm driving home. I just had to shut my mouth, communicate with this individual, be quiet, because if I would have said anything further, or if I'd have continued the conversation, I'm gonna be real with y'all, and not terminated the call, it would have went a whole other way. It would have really went left. I'd have been off the reservation. I don't know if I'd have found my way back. So I just, have a good day, and I hit the button. And it's unfortunate that I had to do that way. It wasn't, don't get me wrong, guys, it wasn't to be ugly, it wasn't to be rude, I wasn't trying to be at odds or be adversarial in my attitude. But I know for me, in order to effectively communicate, and in order to not say or do anything that I really shouldn't have or really crossed the line, I had to refrain. And the scripture that comes to my mind is, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth. Let your conversation be seasoned, so that you'll know, let it be seasoned with grace, so that you'll know how to answer every man. I'm telling you, I'm preaching to the choir. I have to remind myself that I have to just be quiet. Sometimes just not, whatever it is I'm feeling, don't let the feeling so overwhelm me till, I let it come out of here. This is very dangerous. This little thing that we call the mouth, it is very dangerous. One of the smallest organs, one of the smallest places on your body. It is dangerous. It has destroyed nations. It's killed people. It's killed potential. It's killed dreams. It's killed confidence. You get the point. It's killed. Definitely. Not just literally, but figuratively. So you have to put a guard, put a check on this yourself, because God is not going to do everything. You have to do it, but then you have to look to Him to help you. Call on Him. Come on, y'all. Sometimes you just got to call on Him, like, Lord, help me. My wife teases me a lot. She said, lift your hands. She said, God help me. You're not asking Him to help you. He's not helping you, because you just ain't doing right. That's a little inside joke here. Lift your hands. You say, Jesus, help me. Yes. You gotta let Him in. You ain't letting Him in. And bless her heart. I love. We get a kick out of that. I love when she teases me like that. But that's real therapy, real talk, y'all. Like we say, on this podcast, it's real talk. That's real talk. I'm giving y'all some real stuff. This ain't no made up stuff. She be like, baby, just be cool. I need you to keep your demeanor calm. And then she'll turn around and tell me, lift your hands and say, Jesus, help me. And while we're joking, it's real at the same time. Sometimes, and even on my own, even when Q is nowhere around, I have to ask the Lord to help me, because if I don't, I'll be in trouble, y'all. I'll be, all some stuff that shouldn't come out my mouth, even came out. I'll be the, what I'm saying, allow things to escalate or get out of hand. But I'm telling you, it's a learning process, and it doesn't happen overnight. And let's be honest, it doesn't come easy. I know all of y'all know this. I'm not telling y'all anything y'all don't know at this moment. We've all lived this life, however long you've been on this earth. Y'all know communication is not always easy. It's attainable. but it's not always easy. And sometimes, I'll say this too, particularly when you're upset, some corrupt communication can come out this trap right here. You know, you can say some things you shouldn't, you regret, you find yourself repenting and say, Lord, I'm sorry, Lord, I shouldn't have said that. That really wasn't right. That was ugly. Or that was wrong. Or I knew better. But that's, go ahead, Lady D, I'm sorry.
So let's talk a little bit about good communication, bad communication, and miscommunication.
Say again, good communication, bad communication, what else?
Miscommunication.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good one.
Yes.
Miscommunication.
Yes.
That's probably the most interesting of the trio. Yes, ma'am.
Let's go back to the scripture that says, out of the mouth the heart speaks.
Oh, yes, most definitely.
Touch bases on that scripture as well.
As a matter of fact, actually, we were talking, we were having a conversation, I think, a day before yesterday, some 2-3 days ago, maybe, and she mentioned this very thing. It's funny you asked that question, you opened up with that, Lady D, because my wife was just, talking about that. Would you like to elaborate, sweetheart? I don't want to tell it for you, but would you like to?
Out of your mouth, the heart speaks, which is very profound, because I'm a firm believer. You have to guard your mouth. Not everything, if you know that it's gonna come out wrong, you better zip it. And until you know how you're going to say it, because once it's spoken, you cannot take it back.
Yes.
So you have to allow God to help you with that, because the very thing that could be on your heart, it's okay for you to express how you're feeling, but watch how you say it. It's a right and a wrong way to talk to someone. Again, that is very important. Yes, we're talking about bad talk, bad communication, and we're talking about good communication. Bad talking can be the elevation of the tone of your mouth, your voice, and then it could be you using profanity. It could be, having that I guess in downing somebody, belittling somebody,
a condescending manner.
you being condescending and
Yeah.
having an attitude with them, and you want to go into attack mode and start being negative and really getting personal. That's a bad way to communicate.
Another one you want to mention this.
Yeah.
Another one is impatience. I have I ain't gonna name no names, but there are folks that I communicate with, sometimes folks that I know, personally very, very well close, and people that I don't know, but I know of, maybe work with, their associates I've known from, times past, jobs past, or whatever, from some other place on the map, but their demeanor and their attitude is not a patient one. And don't get me wrong, understand, not everybody is just like the person on the left or the right of them, where you have everything in the exact same measure, or to the exact same degree. That's a given. Nobody does. Some people are far more patient than others. Some people are a whole lot less patient, but that just kind of came to me as my wife was talking. It's like, we have to be patient too and allow people to express themselves. That's a part of effective communication too, because some people, they're so willing to, especially when something doesn't agree with their ideology. I mean, they just cut right through it, just cold turkey. I don't want to hear it. They've already, as my wife would say, checked out on it. They're the flat line. They're out of there. They're not even present. Their body, the shell is there, but the mind, like that song said, the mind is on the other side of time already. So they're not even listening, because it's not what they want. It wasn't appealing to their ears. So there's an impatience in even that you can display, even in communicating with whoever, not just your spouse, but whomever you encounter, on your, in your day-to-day travel. So we want to exhibit, patience. The Bible actually talks about that, patience. Let patience have its, perfect work, and different other scriptures I can think of. But we do want to incorporate some patience.
That's good what you said, Brother Aaron. That was very wise. And I think with effective communication is time and space, because you don't want to talk to someone who's not in a space to
Right.
receive what you are saying.
Exactly.
And that's very, very important in knowing your mate and knowing your job or even your children.
Right.
As far as communication goes, if you know that the person is dealing with other matters at the time,
Right.
or just had some type of loss, or
Absolutely.
just anything, life period, you have to be respectful for where that person is in order for them to receive what you have to say.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with bringing in someone that you love and someone that you trust, a counselor,
Absolutely.
a mentor, a preacher, a minister, to, if there is a hard conversation, just to
Right.
have someone there that can be neutral,
Right.
Yes.
with both, or with the couple or whoever, to be a liaison, just to make sure that the effectiveness is
Yes.
there.
Yeah, I like that word, a liaison, right? To be kind of like the buffer in the middle, the mediator, to so to speak, keep the calm. Because it's a serious storm sometimes. So, as my wife always said, you can't have two people that's just out of sorts and besides themselves. Because that can happen like that. It's so quick because we're human. The emotions are real, and if you don't watch it, then emotions can take over, and the emotions will be controlling the communication as opposed to the people controlling the communication.
Oh, that's good. That is so good. The emotions can take over the conversation, the communication, then there's no effectiveness there. But I do feel like you can show emotion, you can express emotion, so the other person knows where you're coming from, the genuineness, or how it affected you.
Right.
But we do have to be in control of our
Yes.
emotions and
Very
in
much
control
so.
of our tongue.
Yes.
And that has to
say be angry, but sin not.
But he ain't
Yes.
but sin not, right.
You have to make sure that.
Right. You're so correct.
And that definitely has to do with your delivery. So you can be upset. You can. Why you laughing?
Presentation is everything. I was thinking
Yeah.
about, I used to work in a restaurant. I used to wait tables, and everything was about presentation. It could be a great dish. It could be very tasty and satisfying to the customers. However, if the presentation wasn't right, it would actually, to a point, it would turn the customer off. By the time you get to the table, if the stuff is sloppy, if it's all running all over the side of the plate, if it's just disheveled, I'm like, I don't want that. It doesn't, and not that it doesn't taste good. I mean, they're regulars. They come there, so they know what they get, but it's like it doesn't look right. We're very visual beings. All of us. As humans, we like how things look, and depending on the way things look, depending on the way things sound, as my wife was saying. And if it doesn't appeal, that can turn you up, that can cause you to go the other way. And as in turn, causing, communication to rise or to fall. As my wife was saying, voice inflection matters. Your tone, your pitch, what I'm saying? The lack of patience or consideration or empathy, it's not what I wanted to hear, so forget you, and that'll destroy your communication even before it gets started.
And it's okay to let the other person know how you're feeling. But even in that, if you're trying to express, say for instance, give an example, if I'm trying to express to my husband that he made me feel a certain way, I can't just come, what you did, you made me feel that. He didn't check out. He ain't listening to nothing I just said. He didn't even receive what I just said. So how is it going to change? How is it going to be better? I came to him. I approached him wrong. And it's okay for you to take a moment and just say, okay, I got to get my words together. I got to get my thoughts together, because I want him to really know how I'm feeling. Okay, so it could change. And that's very important. Your delivery.
Presentation.
Yeah.
Presentation and delivery. I think, Laquita, you said delivery.
Yes.
Brother Aaron said presentation. And they are really one and the same. They go together.
Yes, they do.
Presentation and delivery. There was something else that you all said that I wanted to pull out, and I think Brother Aaron said word choices. You have to be able to choose your words, and even if you need to practice what you're gonna say, practice your words, practice your delivery, practice your presentation. How am I gonna pull my spouse's coattail or my coworker's coattail to bring this presentation, this delivery, this communication to life?
So true. And I'll say this, and this may help someone. With me personally, I know my wife has her way, I have my way of, dealing with, particularly what I'm speaking of is particularly when communication has been difficult or tense with someone, you've had some type of interaction and it was, less than favorable.
Yeah.
I know me personally, sometimes, well, a lot of times, I'll go ahead and just say, a lot of times I won't even answer right away because I know me, y'all. I know me. I can say some things. I have a mouthpiece, and I can say certain things, and I can be off to the races with it. But I know that's not the most effective. Keeping in mind our word, our key operative word, effective. That's not effective communication. So, like the old folk used to say when I was growing up, they say, baby, in that New Orleans song, baby, everything don't have to be said. Sometimes it's that. Sometimes everything doesn't have to be said, and then sometimes everything doesn't have to be said in a impolite manner. And then in other cases, sometimes you just don't have to say it in such a way that it's going to just totally dehumanize the other party. So, saying all that to say, I keep in mind that not every moment is going to be easy or difficult to even communicate what I know I want to communicate. I might know what I want to say. I might even know I might even know how I want to say it. But because of the emotions raging, because of the frustration, and because of the upsettedness at the moment, I may not, on my own, without a liaison, as you say, Lady D, without a mediator, without Q being right there, for something outside of me and her, I may not handle it the way that I should. So it's best that I just don't even answer, right away, or I choose to just reflect so that I can find the graceful way to answer, so that I'll know how to answer every man when I have to answer every man. So that's how A does it.
As we've heard.
Yeah, I had a customer service job that when I first started working, one of my first jobs was in customer service for Sears Company, and they would always tell us to empathize with the customer.
Right.
Show sympathy, show empathy, show sympathy, and correct. So I don't know if we talked about miscommunication, but Brother Aaron was just saying a little bit about miscommunication and how things can be misinterpreted.
Yes.
Can you
Absolutely.
touch base on that one more time? How do you handle miscommunication? If Quita said something, the way it came out was not really how she meant for it to come out. It really wasn't what she meant to say. How do you all fix miscommunication?
How do we fix it?
I would say with miscommunication, that goes back to the very fundamentals of listening. So if you're listening to someone, then you're not talking. So you could be effective in your listening, and then while they're talking, you're gathering your thoughts, you're getting what you need to say, and then taking those extra moments, taking those to gather all the information to effective listening to your other, your person, then you're going to be able to hopefully carry out effectively that conversation. There's so much in miscommunication because not only do you have to watch and things could be missed, but if you're not effectively listening, then you can perceive what that person said all the way wrong, and that ain't even how they meant it. So it's a whole lot.
That's good. That's good. You lead me right into what I was going to say. That was beautiful. Beautiful breakdown and commentary about a lovely cue. The other side, I'll say, however, the other side to that, coming from the A, is this. And I'm gonna use me for an example. I'm just gonna go and be transparent. Sometimes, a lot of times, I've miscommunicated. I've heard something the wrong way, or I just heard what I wanted to hear, or because I was upset, or because I was dealing with some other stuff. You know, there's so much on the mind and the brain. You don't always, and we've all been guilty of this. We don't always keep the fundamentals in mind and take something the way that the person was trying to convey it to us. So we misinterpret, as we miscommunicate, as the word says, and then, you know, we landed ourselves in trouble. So me personally, what I've had to do, and I'm good for this, my wife, she's probably gonna laugh because she'll agree. Me, I'm a talker and I love to explain. So when I know I've miscommunicated, been wrong, I may have rubbed her the wrong way, offended her, hurt her feelings, whatever, it's something in me. Not that she's like, you better, because she doesn't come at me like that. And you was wrong. Within myself, I'm compelled. It's like, you know what, I feel bad. Or, you know what, that wasn't too cool. Let me go and talk to my wife, but not approaching her with an attitude, or approaching her with, well, let me tell her a thing or two. In a calm, rational state, I'm like, okay, I'll reflect and go over stuff, and I'll try to gather my words and my presentation and delivery, so that when I come to the second time, you know, we can smooth it out, we can make up, you know, and move on from it. So that's what I find myself doing. If I know I was wrong, or if I just missed something, if I was just, you know, tense and upset at the time, I said, well, let me go back and talk, and I'll explain to her what was going on in my brain at the time. You know, because us fellas, we don't always get it right. Sometimes with knuckleheads, we trip. We don't get it right, or we miss it, or we miscommunicate, and we have to come back. You know, with our face, you know, in our hands, we're like, you know, I'm sorry, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, that's maturity, to come back and say, you know what, I was wrong. I apologize. I'm sorry. Let's fix this. But as me and my wife would say, let's jagged edge this thing.
Yeah.
Songs by jagged. Tell me how to fix it.
Yeah.
So that's how we do it. You know, we choose to talk and work it out. Sometimes we are quiet for a minute. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. It's very quiet on the home front. You know, you don't. You know, it's not the moment to just the ramble and to say everything, because it may not come out right. You may not be prepared. So a lot of times we both will, you know, just be quiet, and we'll come back at it later. And it's not anything that we necessarily say. It's pretty much just understood, because we have this amazing connection between us. I mean, we verbally communicate, but a lot of times, because of the bond and the connection we already have, it's understood. We don't always have to just ramble and say stuff. But when everything subsides and we feel it subside, then we'll come back and we'll talk. And like my wife said, before the night is out, we'd have made up. We don't like the sun to go down on our wrath, as the scriptures say, you know, because unfortunately terrible things happen. Sometimes people leave this place, you know, or they take sick, have to be rushed to the hospital, something real, you know, severe may happen, and you're like, wow, the last communication, a miscommunication I had, I didn't even fix that thing. I didn't even work that out. I let the sun go down on my wrath, not look, and then I created another set of circumstances on top of what I didn't fix to begin with. You know, so.
And y'all, I'm telling you from experience, I had to learn this very key important thing, that when we have disagreements, or as they call it, holy communication, having a holy conversation.
Keep it holy.
me personally, like, I will take a step back and I would have to go pray. And that is the best thing that I found for me, for our relationship. That's me as a woman, that's me as his wife. The best thing that I can do is go pray. He will be silent and go, and he probably going to pray too. But I can speak for me. I'm gonna have to go pray. God, look, help me, Jesus. Okay. And how I need to handle this, and how I need to go back, and so we can get this resolved, because I love laying next to my husband. I love going to bed with my husband, and there is no way that I'm going to go and go to sleep and we're at odds. So
Not gonna happen.
that is going to be fixed before we go to sleep. And you just have to be intentional about, having effective communication in how you speak to one another. I can't say that enough. That is very, as we've heard this saying, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all.
Get out my head. I was just thinking that.
Don't say it at all. And this is one scripture that my husband quotes a lot, and it is found in Proverbs, okay? Proverbs 25:11. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold.
Ooh, my Lord.
It is setting
My
on
Lord.
silver.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. A word fitly spoken. And let me say this, folks. This just hit me just now. This nugget just hit me as Q was talking. She was, and she actually touched on it, even touched on the very word that I'm going to use. Lost my train. Give me a second. She actually used the very word that came to me in the nugget that just dropped. There's clarity in the quietness. I'm notorious for being quiet. I will go dead silent and not say nothing. She'll tell you, especially if I'm upset and I don't want to, say the wrong thing. I just don't want to just be just hasty with my words or be unwise. The Bible said a man who keeps his word keeps his life, keeps his soul from troubles. A lot of y'all, may be familiar with it. Some may be, some may not. But that's another one that stays in my mind a lot. Or it comes up, especially in moments of difficulty like that. Sometimes it is just best to be quiet because there's safety in silence.
Woo!
Safety and clarity comes through the silence. Because think about it, when you're quiet, you can hear. You can reason better. When you're talking and running off at the mouth and going off, you ain't getting nothing. You just ain't getting, you are not getting the thing. You're not gaining any type of insight. But when you're quiet, you can definitely gain clarity. You know what I'm saying? You can reason and you can come to your senses. So that's what I do personally. And I do believe that's great benefit. And it's not just simply for the fact that you're upset. At the same time, it is for to say that's the primary reason.
Yeah.
But secondly, you gain things that you wouldn't gain if you were running your mouth. And I'm gonna quote this saying. We've all heard this. I've been hearing this all my life. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. That's a key indicator right there. 2 ears and 1 mouth, meaning you probably need to be talking far less than what you're listening. But usually, as humans, we, in most more cases than not, we have it the other way around. We do more talking. Then if you're already a talker like me, it can be a challenge. So you really have to train and discipline yourself. Train and discipline yourself to talk less, listen more. And when you talk less and listen more, when you do talk, you'll be saying something. So, I mean.
You said some key things there, and it looked like Tony Ford said how we listen is how we respond.
Ooh.
Come on, Tony.
Yes. You just said.
Tony, if you was present, I'll throw something at you. If you was close, I'll throw something at you.
We are at about the hour mark.
Yes.
Yes.
I hope you're okay with this. I have asked Pastor Stephen. He's getting ready to head out.
Yes.
For his rehearsal tonight, we are here in California.
Yes.
I was so glad to be able to join in with you all.
Hey, Pastor Stephen.
Glad y'all were able to join.
The family says, hey. Can Pastor Stephen pray before you all close out?
Yes, most definitely.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
God, we just love you. We just honor you. And I was not privy to the conversation, the Oprah conversation, the Stedman conversation that Elvis had. But thank God for this forum that you guys obviously opened yourself, unassuming, to the world, and you're imparting what you feel that God is imparting to you, and you're imparting that to men and women, boys and girls. First thing that comes to my mind is decided that he wanted to go up to God. And so the men were able to speak to one another, and they were able to communicate. And they began to build a tower. And God noticed the tower because of the excellence and the diligence that they were doing in being able to build this tower to go to the extent to be able to see God himself. God speaks to himself and he says that there's nothing that they cannot do because the people are one.
Yes.
Which means that when a couple are one, it's not two people, it's one.
Amen.
Amen.
So effective communication means that you have to be as one. It's not a man giving his 50% and a woman giving her 50%.
That's right.
Or even a man giving his 99 and her giving no, it is one. It is the couple giving
Yes.
one. And it is that point that God had to begin to conform the language so that they would not be able to communicate with one another. And then we know that it came back again in Acts when he gave the unspoken tongues, that we would be all of one accord to be able again to speak in an unknown language. But it was a language that empowered us, and communication empowers us to be able to do things. So before we pray, I just kind of wanted to lay that because that's the first thing that comes to my mind. The Bible says, "In all thy getting, get understanding."
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's impossible to get understanding if you're not on the same page.
So true.
So there's communication bodily outside, there's communication orally, there's communication in things that we do and say, there's even communication in the things that we don't do and say. So with that being the case, God, we just love you and we honor you. Thank you for this day. This is the day that you made. You put a smile on our face. We rejoice. We're glad because we know that if you woke us up, God, that means that purpose, the plan that you have for our life is not.
Yes.
So we are so grateful that you decided to wake us up this day and you have given us another opportunity to make good on the investment that you put in us. And so, God, we thank you again for the elders. We thank you for all the couples and all the men and all the women, boys and girls that are on this call. Thank you for my wife. God,
Yes,
thank you for the union that you have here, the oneness that you have here, the telomere.
Yes.
And so, God, we call on you, the Holy Ghost. We call on you, Jesus, that empower us now, that our words would be words that touch the hem of your garment.
Yes,
To
sir.
the degree that you are involved in everything that we do. We thank you, God, that you will give us the right words to speak orally, the right body language, so that, God, everything we do gives you glory, but it also communicates what we need to communicate. God, that we will be able to communicate offenses, be able to communicate the things that we like, we don't like, the things that we enjoy, the things that we don't know about. Empower us, God, to be able to do this effectively, that glorifies you
Thank you.
and magnifies the situation to the degree, God, that we can come against the enemy and any distractions and the things that we not allow effective communication. We believe it can be done by your word. We believe it can be done by actions, and it is done in Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Amen. Well, there you have it, family. I'm going to see my husband off and
Yes.
fulfill my duties. I
Yes,
love
ma'am.
you all, and I will be speaking with you soon.
Love
All right,
you.
love
Thank
y'all.
you, Lady D.
Thank you, Lady D. Pastor Stevie, y'all take care.
As we close, we thank y'all for joining in to the Q
And A.
and A house, okay?
It is.
Stay tuned for next week. We will be discussing, I believe, meeting the needs of your person, okay?
Ooh, watch out, y'all. Y'all don't want to miss that one.
Meeting the needs, okay?
Ooh-wee.
Meeting the needs, okay? Let's talk about it, okay? Next week, Thursday night at 7 p.m., we're talking, okay? Have a good night.
All right.
We're out, guys.
Peace, family.
Love you.
Love y'all.